Welcome back to Raging Loop. So, we are in the middle of the next chapter here, and we are currently trying to figure out who all is alive and who all died as the result of last night's werewolf hunting. So, let's see what happened. Alright. Chiyomi just said, "We can't find Yoshi-kun anywhere." We met Chiyomi on the way to the graveyard. She and the two high school guys were still searching, but the mist made it extremely difficult. We told her we'd join once we buried Kanzo-san and picked up our pace. The graveyard wasn't that far. Yasumizu wasn't very big. It only felt like it because of the mists or the load. I'd completely forgotten about him. He was alright too, huh? Let's say he's probably going to be an integral piece to figuring this all out. I had no idea why, but he was looking at us, clapping and laughing. That meant that Yoshitsugu Oribe-kun was the only one we hadn't seen yet. I was told there'd only be one. The wolves were supposed to kill only one person per night. Not saying a word, I hurried to finish the job. Unless Kanzo was killed by somebody else, or Yoshi was killed by somebody? I don't know. Well, let's see. Or Yoshitsugu? That led to us finding him early. Ooh, he is dead. What the heck? So, wait a minute. Somebody murdered somebody else in the village. Because nobody else... The wolves are prevented from killing more than one person. So who killed who? Yoshitsugu-kun was on the shortest path to the cliff in the grass of the graveyard. Though Takumi-san had only noticed him by chance. That was how deep in the grass he was. And how many pieces of him there were. It reeked of death, too, but it was mixed with the smell of trampled grass and a strange, beastly odor. Okay. Hey, it's Jay! Welcome to the stream. Alright. So I'm gonna predict Kanzo was killed by another villager, and Yoshitsugu was killed by the werewolves. That's what I think's happening. Maybe none of the blood around here was his. Unlike Kanzo-san, he left clear proof of a tough battle and intense pain. Because, remember, Kanzo was killed by, something was dropped on him, is what they said. And a werewolf wouldn't need to do that. Plus, his door was open, so he let somebody in. It must have been somebody who he trusted. So obviously they weren't a werewolf. But Yoshitsugu here definitely was killed by somebody else. Who was big and furry. You had guts. And those guts are now all over the place. Takumi-san's voice was shaking. He picked up a soccer ball-sized object. What is it? Half eaten and basically a shadow of what used to be, it clenched its teeth even in death. Can I? Can I what? Takumi-san gave it Yoshitsugu-kun's head to me and I put my finger in its mouth. Why would you do that? I was curious about what was stuck in there. What I found was a clump of beastly fur. Ah! He literally fought tooth and nail, resisting until the very end. Yep. Resisting what? Obviously the being that brought the corruption. It didn't take long for the news of Yoshitsugu Oribe's death to spread across the village. I'd heard that the pain of losing one's child was beyond any description. Even so, Kaori Oribe-san broke down so badly it felt abnormal. The mild-mannered woman became a mad beast. We had to band up to keep her from running to where we found Yoshitsugu-kun's corpse. We'd already gathered it up and thrown it into Saranaga, after all. Takumi-san kept a tuft of the boy's bleached hair, which he gave to Kaori-san. She instantly put it in her mouth. Through her wailing and choking, she did her best to chew and swallow it. It was a wretched, gloomy, and miserable sight. Though it might have been an act born of ultimate motherly love, whatever the case, no matter the shape, it was too late to try and bring her child back into herself. Not to mention absurd and pointless. That was how it looked in my eyes. Let's begin the feast. We gotta do something about the one who killed the old man and Yoshi. So, yeah, somebody else killed Kanzo. For sure. It was not the werewolves that killed Kanzo. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. His words got the attention of basically everyone present, but they didn't reach the sobbing mother and her older son, who was gently consoling her. Yoshitsugu-kun. Why did he have to go against the laws? His efforts in death had only worked to corner not just his mother, but everyone else here. It was useless. He'd gotten some weird fur for us. No one, not even me, had any doubts about what we were dealing with here. A situation where everyone was desperate, acted on their own accord, and didn't know how to use their lives well was basically the worst. And apparently this line of thinking I had had would foreshadow the next turn of events. Where did Hara-chan go? Shit, why was everyone in such a hurry to do the worst things possible? Chimi Serizawa, Chikamochi Kamoshida, Takumi Muro, and I went out to search for Haru Makishima. Kaori-san showed no signs of calming down, so Yasunaga-kun stayed with her. Kyonosuke refused to come, arguing that it would be bad if there wasn't enough manpower in the dining hall, and he wasn't wrong about that. It wasn't unlikely that some fur-covered murderer, or Haru-chan's kidnapper, was still around. To prevent any surprise attacks or accidents, we split into pairs. We were given a hoe and a sickle for self-defense. Be careful, you two. Shout if something happens. Loud enough so we can hear you, but low enough that others can't. Alright, let's go, Mochi. Time to do work, Hassan. The skirt would have... I was going to say, he's not wearing his quote-unquote usual outfit. The skirt would have made the search harder for him, so he changed into his school uniform. It wasn't cut out for the job either, but he had no other clothes. At least it was better than a one-piece dress. He seemed to enjoy wearing girls' clothing, so changing into uniform was probably his way of showing he was serious about this. He kept his easygoing tone of voice, but I felt like there was gravity in his eyes too. He might have been pretty shaken. Haru-chan! Haru-chan! We walked around Yasumisu, shouting until our throats became dry. We checked every bush, all the patches of tall grass, and behind every tree. We even searched the water around the paddy fields, but it didn't feel like we were any closer to finding her. What do you think happened to her? I don't know. Maybe she's shocked by her granddad's death. No, before that. She's been acting weird since this morning. Was she? Is she really fastidious or something? What? A clean freak. Hates anything dirty. I think I saw hints of that ever since we first met. Oh, I'd say she's just the greatest scaredy cat here. Scaredy cat, huh? She was always really afraid of all the corruption talk. Maybe she was just scared of getting corrupted. I see. Fear based on superstition. Well, that made sense, but why had it suddenly gotten worse? What had happened last night? That's why I don't think Haru-chan could kill anyone if she was a wolf. Is that what you think? I don't know if she is one or not, but I really don't think she could if she was. How prudent. That's not like you. Well, we're not talking about me here. I don't want to try and get a read on you. I just want to hear your ideas on what's going on with Haru-chan right now. I have no idea who or what you're confused about. But to me, Haru-chan is as important as Yasun, if not more. I don't really care about anyone else. So we should just find her. Good point. But no matter how hard we searched, we saw no sign of her. She could have been hiding somewhere, or maybe she'd collapsed, but I was beginning to entertain another idea. What if she ran away from Yasumisu? I asked, knowing everyone would deny the idea. That'd be hard to believe. When the mist comes, Yasumisu was connected to Yomi. Bachan's words. So anyone trying to escape would just end up there. Not to mention, these mountains are dangerous. All that considered, if there was something that would drive her to escape from the village, what could it be? Everyone fell silent. They couldn't even imagine it. It was like their brains had stopped working. If she'd actually wandered out into danger, then we'd wasted too much time searching for her in the village. I had to hurry, so I didn't hesitate to use some big assumptions that bordered on chicanery. What if she can no longer trust the village or the people here? What do you mean? She might have seen something at night or early morning or come to some sort of realization. Like, for example, what if she found out that someone she knows well is a wolf or killed people like it was no big deal? Everyone gasped. She's young, so she's still pretty unstable. And since Yasumisu is so small, it wouldn't be strange if she felt like she lost her place here if someone betrayed her. The girl seems pretty emotional, so it makes sense that she'd jump straight to running away, right? You make a solid argument. But then what do we do? Give up? That was the thought of someone from Yasumisu. I'll go look for her. I'm not afraid of the corruption. And that was the thought of someone from Yasumisu who had a few screws loose. Anyway, I'm an outsider. I'm not exactly averse to leaving anyway, so I'll look for her too. I said I'd stop you, didn't I? Don't worry, I'll head back the moment it gets dangerous. She definitely won't head in Saranaga's direction, so I'll focus on the path to school. Also, adults shouldn't turn their backs on children, right? Ugh. Hassan. I can't argue against that. Of course, it's possible that she's still in Yasumisu, so you two keep on searching for her here. Leave it to me. Run away if it gets dangerous. Hassan, about what you just said. What do you mean? You know, the thing about Haruchan losing trust in everyone as a result of something she saw? What about it? That didn't actually happen, did it? Who knows? I was just raising the possibility. It's likely, though, isn't it? So, what? You think she saw me or Yasun walking around with a mouthful of huge fangs? That's a possibility, too. I'm not sure I'd buy that. Mochi seems like, for being as eccentric as he is, he seems pretty sharp. Like, he seems to be one of the more with it residents of the village. Is that just your intuition talking? Yep, it is. Speaking of which, I also feel like this Feast of the Yomi Purge is designed to keep the wolves from being outed easily. You can't see them at night because you can't walk outside. You can't stay gathered in one place and watch each other. You can't call the police, so there can't be any investigations. And since everyone's covered in mist, things can happen without anyone realizing. And that's why you can't get that sort of solid proof. How could the players send people to be hanged without the slightest bit of material evidence? If you ignored the weird guardian powers, it was all quibbles, agitation, sophistry, emotional arguments, connections, popularity, basically the power of communication. He just summed up every social deduction game ever, like Werewolf, Mafia, Resistance Avalon, Battlestar Galactica, Shadows over Camelot, yep. That's it and more. I don't really get why, but yeah, I think it's designed that way on purpose. Nothing was certain. They were put in dangerous argument, with their only weapon being their eloquence. It was a feast of doubting, hurting, and eventually killing one another. If there was such malice behind this, then Chikamochi Kamoshida had a point. Are you a detective or something? Huh? No, that'd be Yasun. He might know more than he lets on. I'd have to talk to him then. We arrived at the mountain pass separating Yasumisu from the rest of the world. The large stones at the sides were like torii. Torii? Without a top. Sorry, I'm showing my ignorance here. I don't know what that is. They might have had religious significance. There's no rule against stepping beyond here, right? Nope. Only that you can't run away from the feast. We were going out to find Haruchan, so we were good. Ignoring the fact that Haruchan was breaking that law, we passed between the stones. But we soon had to stop. The path was blocked by a landslide. I wonder... So, remember how we had that choice last time about whether to stay in Yasumisu or leave? I wonder if we would encounter the same landslide if we chose to leave. I'm going to assume the game is going to require the player to examine all the paths. But, yeah, I'm really interested in that. According to Mochi, despite being pretty rocky, the ground in this area was strangely fragile, so landslides weren't that uncommon. There'd been some pretty bad rain 3 nights ago, hadn't there? If that was related to the mist's appearance, it wasn't unlikely that we'd get both the mist and this landslide at the same time. Despite that, this just felt a bit too convenient. I had to consider the possibility that the people in the settlement above blocked the road to keep the Yomibito from getting through. Clearly, the convenience store attendant at the start of the game, she's behind all of this. Hassan, there was something way more important. We found footsteps in the still damp mud. It was proof that she'd passed through here. So she went through there before the landslide? They disappeared into a small cliff that only reached up to my shoulders. She had to have climbed up and disappeared into the forest. Let's hurry. Yeah. Okay. The term virgin forest was used to describe forests that were still untouched by mankind, letting nature have complete control over it. Many of the cedars here looked imported, so that term probably didn't apply to this one. However, it wasn't intended to whatsoever, so the words natural or underdeveloped definitely worked. There were many fern saplings on the surface, a canopy of leaves above, and a thick mist all around. It certainly didn't feel like a place humans were welcome. For better or worse, the new fern seemed slightly trampled, indicating someone had passed through recently. Over here! Be careful. She got lost on this road after all. Haru-chan! Should you really be shouting like that? It's one of the basics of living in the mountains. The beasts run away if you scream. Oh yeah, I'd almost forgotten about the very real threat of wild animals. I realized I'd lost myself in the mood and became kind of embarrassed. Haru-chan! Say something! Shouting over and over, we kept moving forward. She tried to follow the path, but all the cliffs and boulders in the way made her stray from it. 10 minutes later, we'd lost all sense of direction. Yeah, this place really was dangerous. Could we really find her? And even if we did, wouldn't it be too late? I was reminded of Yoshitsugu Oribe and his cruel fate. Were we about to lose yet another life? As my thoughts turned to that very real possibility. I heard some weeping. Oh, weeping. I thought that was like... Haru-chan! Mochi, stay away! Are you alright? Please, don't come after me. I had a bad feeling about this. Something really bad might have happened to her. Wait up! Hey! Chikamochi went up after the voice with no hesitation. His body was quickly buried under all the plants and mist. Give me a hand, Hassan! His lack of hesitation felt dangerous in some way. Was I just imagining it? Anyway, I went after him and quickly caught up. It hurts. It hurts. Haru Makishima was buried under all the greenery. It's her leg! Stop! Ow! I walked up and, man, this was pretty bad. Her leg was all covered in blood. Her shoe and foot were pierced by a sapling that was broken right at the bottom. She stepped on this? Can we break it off? Nope, we gotta pull it out. That'll open the wound. There's some lawn marsh, pennywort, and chameleon plants here. Let's close it with them. You can do that? Masada was the family that made medicine. First I'd heard of that, but I had no choice but to believe him. She resisted verbally, but she was too tired and weakened to do it physically. I picked her up, doing my best to ignore her wailing because of the pain, and pulled her away from the branch. Chikamochi quickly took care of her wound and used a handkerchief to stop the bleeding. Let's go back. Can you carry her? Of course. You sure you don't want to do it, though? Who knows? I just don't have the build for it. I thought of saying that Haru-chan would have preferred him, but she was barely conscious thanks to the pain. We didn't have time to waste on sentimentality. Lead the way. One lost person is enough for one day. Going back is easy, but man, it really does look like getting out is impossible. Agreed. Haru-chan, I'm so glad you're alright. She isn't, Takumi-ni. Call Teiba. We've got a wound to patch. Got it. Our return caused quite a commotion, and by the time things had begun to calm down, it was way past noon. Haru Makishima's escape attempt distracted everyone, but none of the problems were actually solved. Kanzo Makishimashi was killed by the wolves, while Yoshitsugu Oribe was taken by the corruption. Was he taken by the corruption? I don't know. I don't know. If he was taken by the corruption, why did he have fur in his mouth? Yoshitsugu-kun's death was especially problematic. Each meaningless death was yet another obstacle against resolving the feast. Even if they picked and hung someone during the day, it wouldn't guarantee that there'd be one less wolf. It certainly wouldn't. I just don't think there's enough to go off of, really. It was way more likely that they'd get rid of an innocent. Even worse, the wolves in the group would most likely try to leverage the hangings in their favor. They'd claim to be innocent while casting doubt and blame on the other survivors. To win, the humans needed to do their best to see through such trickery and identify the wolves, possibly even making them confess. That was how I saw it anyway, and I was the one with the least info here. With that in mind, all humans who died by breaking the rules were actually doing the wolves a favor. If she'd actually disappeared, I'd have said the same thing about Haru Makishima, assuming she was human, anyway. Perhaps someone encouraged them to break the rules? If that was the case, the wolves were ruthless, knew the rules well, and were steadily advancing toward a complete victory, where all humans lay dead. Yeah, I'm assuming that's where this path we've gone down is going to lead, probably, as everybody's dead. That'd be someone influential or a player who's invaluable to the humans. That'd be Kanzo Ji-chan or Yasukun. And just as we'd feared yesterday, the wolves had silenced one of the most important people in the feast. It was hard to believe they'd chosen him just because they were scum or because they didn't like him. The situation was really bad. Another thing to note was that Yoshitsugu Oribe's death greatly affected Kaori-san, who was responsible for everyone's meals. That was a major problem. See, that's the other thing. I wonder if, like, thinking about it, they didn't want to kill, I think they went after Yoshitsugu to demoralize Kaori. And Kanzo, I don't know, like, why was Kanzo killed? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, that's still my theory, is that Yoshitsugu was killed by the werewolves, and then Kanzo was killed by somebody else. Good work, everyone. Here's some. When she tried to give us tea once we returned, her face was pale and she was shaking like she was having a seizure. Despite her attempt to carry on as normal, her composure was in pieces. It was so painful I could barely watch. Takumi-san should have been supporting her, but he was just gloomily hanging his head. In the end, Chami had to lead Kaori-san back to her room and stay at her side. I could only hope that that was enough to calm her down. However, it was nearly time to do the inevitable. I recall you saying that we should start today's feast. Now is as good a time as any, don't you think? Kyonosuke addressed the downhearted people gathered at the dining hall. Does it look to you like anyone's up for it? The day will end at this rate. The wolves are clearly intent on killing us all. Can we really waste time waiting in a situation like this? It'd work in their favor. We have to pick someone to hang no matter what. Don't you agree, Miro? Ugh. Alright, Yasunaga. Try talking to everyone upstairs. That was where Tai-san looked after Haru-chan and Chimi looked after Kaori-san. Oh, I'll go. You don't have to, Mochi. Just let me. Shikamochi winked at me for some reason. It might take a while. Yeah, take your time. Everyone has to be there after all. I will go prepare. Please do. Oh, wait! Now is my chance. Yasunaga-kun, can we talk? Huh? About what? Sorry about your brother. Thank you. That makes it a bit better for him and I. That's a very mature way to talk about it. Maybe I should have sounded more my age then. The boy was already pretty mature. You didn't get along with him? That's not it. We didn't always see eye to eye, especially recently, but he was a really good guy. I think so, too. It seemed like deep down the tough guy routine was really just an act. Did he get along with your mother? He did. Despite all he said, he really loved her, and she probably loved him more than me. Oh, that's not what I was asking. Sorry. All human relations were complicated. Prying too deeply wasn't a good idea. I'm sorry, what did you want to know? A few things, mostly about the legend. Tai-san is the better person for that. I need the opinion of someone more rational. First question. Why do you think the wolves kill the humans? Because they're angry at humans for tricking and killing them. Let me rephrase that. Why do the people given the role of the wolf suddenly become able to kill their friends and family with no remorse? Huh? Are you suspicious of Haruchan and I? Oh, no. Sorry, that's not it. I want you to look at this from a general perspective. Say you've been told that you're a wolf. Could you just accept it and start killing people? No way. Exactly. No way you could. Of course, there are those who could, but most couldn't, either out of fear or guilt. Mochi's a good example. The people here are afraid of certain things, but they do have lines drawn in the sand. If the lives of those they care about are on the line, they won't hesitate to face the corruption and the wolves. That's only because Mochi is special. He's a genius. Genius? Yes, he can easily make predictions and decisions normal people can't, and he'll readily throw away anyone or anything he doesn't care about. Everyone else thinks he's just weird, but I think he's a genius. I see. I think I agree with you there. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you people aren't the types to magically become murderers just because of some corruption. Of course, there'd be people who'd do it because the corruption would come for them if they didn't, but even they wouldn't do it without hesitation. But the wolves we're dealing with aren't hesitating at all. I don't know where you're going with this, but I think it depends on the personality of whoever the wolf is. It'd be easy for people who've never had any aversion to killing, but there are two wolves, right? Yeah, seems that way. I see. Let me ask you this, then. Does Yasumisu have more than one person that is capable of murder? One psycho in a group of people I could see, but two seems pretty unlikely. I think a better assumption is that there's some way to turn even an ordinary person into a ruthless killer. If that isn't true, the lack of infighting doesn't make sense under the current circumstances. Well, when you put it like that... This is just something I heard from a teacher at school, but you could do it by giving them something to fight for, couldn't you? Basically, you need to make them think that they're doing the right thing. That the wolves are doing the right thing. I see. That's an interesting way to look at it. It's how countries convince their people to go to war. Yes, that's what the lesson was about, but I think your perspective is a bit flawed. What do you mean? For example, most of the girls in this settlement are timid and prefer to leave the big decisions to the men. Even Haruchan is like that. So if the wolves are a man and a woman, it's entirely possible that the man's taking the lead in doing the killing while the woman is just following along. Also, for all we know, the wolves could be arguing all the time, and they just didn't happen to hesitate in killing this one time. Yeah, good point, but I do think that there's some secret to why this feast's lasted so long. Traditions like these usually die out. It makes me think that there might be a way to ensure the killings continue. Your idea is certainly interesting. I don't think you should call it interesting. Not in a situation like this. Oh, sorry about that. That was insincere of me. Let me ask you one more thing then. Go ahead. I was working under the assumption that nothing particularly strange is happening here, but what about you? Do you think there's something mysterious going on? I don't want to believe it, but I think there is. Why is that? Did you see a god or monsters or something? No, it's hard to put into words, but the fact that the mist appeared when we had a whole 4 outsiders here made it feel like there was a higher power at work. No matter how hard I look at it, I don't think the mist like this could have been produced by human hands. Not to mention that it's strange how the wolves can enter sheltered houses and kill the people there. There's also the fact that if one of us killed someone, you'd see a change in their behavior, or some evidence would be left behind. We can't explain these things, so yes, I do think there's something mysterious going on. Oh, I see. Alright. Sorry for asking such a weird question. By the way, who do you think are the wolves? Haraki Fusaishi-san. He cut me off with a stern voice. Sorry, but that's something we talk about in the feast. You don't have the right to ask that. Oh, my bad. Listen, we'll have to hold the feast to decide which one of us we should sacrifice today. It's important to propose who we think is suspicious, but it's also very dangerous. Something we said outside of the feast could be used against us and become a fatal mistake. The fact that you asked me that makes me feel like someone's maliciously using you against me. Please stop. Good point. I'm sorry, really. Oh, but now I won't blindly believe that you're an ill omen, but I won't stop suspecting that you're involved somehow. If I ever find out you had something to do with Yoshitsugu's death, You'll what? He glared at me. I'll have to avenge my little brother. I see. Of course you would. I'll just head to the cage and do my best to be as unsuspicious as possible. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Why? Today's feast might drag on until evening. It might be too late by then. You should go to your room in the dorm and ask someone outside to block the door handle with a stick. I see. Good idea. This boy was really smart. If Takumi Muroshi was a site foreman type, he was the manager type. I could see a talent for using people. Can I ask something too? Of course. Do you like Chiane? Whoa. From a political standpoint, I should say no, but yeah, she's likable. I see. Well, she seems pretty available, so she'd probably date me if I or anyone else asked. Oh, are you being considerate of me? I had a feeling that Mochi told you something weird. It's not like that. What I felt for her is a thing of the past. She was the only older girl around these parts, so I was attracted to her, that's all. This place was gloomy and serious, and she was the only free-spirited person here. She's as amazing as Mochi. You're saying she was a rascal? Yes, so much that she almost killed someone. Hold on. Well, it was an accident, though. It's strange you think she's available. Chiane is actually pretty shy. Wait, she almost killed someone? I know my reaction was a little delayed, but I was like, what? Is she now? Or maybe she just changed a lot during her 3 years of college. So yeah, I've already gotten over her. Now I feel like you're the one being weirdly inconsiderate. Or weirdly considerate. That's not healthy, you know? It's all good if you like her. This is hardly the time or place for that. Good point. That was it, huh? Eventually, everyone gathered and went to the hall. Just as I was told, I asked them to lock me in my room. After getting everyone, including Takumi-san and Taya-san, to understand, Yasunaga-kun, Chiemi, and I went to the dorm. Chiane, you think he can jump from the window to the branches? No way. Even if he made it down, he couldn't get back. Two verified how secure a place this was to lock me up in. If they were the wolves, it'd be impossible to outwit them. Humans stood no chance. Anyway, we're locking you in. We'll come open it if we have the time, but you might end up staying like this until morning. Alright, fine by me. It's gonna be hard, but I hope you do well. Thanks. Sorry you're caught up in the problems of such a crappy village. I'm more worried about you. Wow, isn't that nice? I'll do my best. All done? We're locking you in, then. Yeah, you be careful too, Yasunaga-kun. You're now your mother's only child. Yes, that's true. And so the door was closed. I could hear them set up the stick. So far, the only ones I'd talked to face-to-face were Chiemi, Takumi-san, Mochi, and Yasunaga-kun. Just 4. The ones I hadn't talked to were Tai Yamawaki, Rikako Uematsu, Meiko, Kaori Aribe, Haru, Makishima, Kinosuke Nasato, the old wolf guy, a whole 7. I had no idea if there was significance in that, but I wanted to know what kind of people they all were. 4 people had already died, and if you ignored me, there were 11 left. Once the snake revealed what Kionosuke was, he and the snake, Takumi-san, would be the only ones with confirmed roles. The other 9 would be suspects. When one was hanged, there'd be 8, and when one died in the night, there'd be 7, which was still quite a lot. They had to hurry before it was too late. The humans had to act now. Hello. Whoa, what? The supposedly fixed door opened again. It was Chiemi. I forgot, but I might not get to give you your dinner, so have this at least. She threw me a yellow food box, the kind you could find in any convenience store. Thanks. Seriously. Don't mind it. Oh, by the way. Oh, what? Tell the monkeys to reveal themselves. Huh? Why? Think about it. You'll understand. And you know you have to do something before it's too late. Chiane, what are you doing? There's no time. Go. Yeah, okay. So the monkeys, for those who might not remember from last time, are two villagers who know each other. She closed the door and put the stick back. Alright, what's next? Howard-chan, is your wound alright? It's fine. I know it's not a good time to ask, but what happened? It was pretty bad, I'll tell you that much. Whatever, let's just start. Everyone had a drink. Let's begin the feast of the Yomi Purge. Let's get to it. Takumi-ni, did the snake's power work last night? Yeah, it did. Well, tell us. Kyo is a human. Of course, I'm no wolf. That means Muro and I are no longer suspects, right? It does. Let's look at what we have to decide today, if we continue based on the late Kanzo Makishimashi's decisions. Hold on, why are you taking the lead? I don't mind if the eldest, Yamawaki-san, wants to take over. I'm no good at that. In that case, it's only natural that myself and Muro, adults confirmed to be human, should be the ones to lead. Takumi-ni, he's annoying. You lead. No, Kyo. Keep going. He's still shocked from the elder's death. No need to force him. But I'll do everything I can in his place. Muro, you console Madame Uribe. My boy, Kaori-san. Here's my proposal. Let's do whatever we can to choose and hang someone today. Hold on, that's too reckless. But it's necessary. If we don't, the wolves will eventually kill the last human. Exactly. We'll have to harden our hearts if we want to survive the feast. Am I wrong, Yamawaki-san? You're right. The Yomabito must be hung. 1 soul per day now to bind! What if we make a mistake? Even if we kept it secret, we'd have to live with the guilt of having killed someone. It's true that it would be unpleasant, but such deaths wouldn't be in vain. What the hell? If we kill the wrong person, their death would be pointless. That's obvious. Watch your words when talking to your superiors. Listen, for now, we only have 2 surefire ways to get rid of suspects. Surely you understand, Yasunaga-kun. Yes, the snake's power. Or killing someone and lowering the total number, huh? I know that, but do you really think we can all agree on someone? We can't do that. Do you think the one who gets killed cares which side wins? That's why we need to reach a consensus here. We need to agree that if the others survive, I don't mind dying. Huh? Is that seriously all we have? Yes, that's all we have. The laws of the mountain remain merciless. What the hell? I'm not just getting hanged for someone else's sake. Oh, that would make you a wolf, wouldn't it? Why? You have no intention to put your life on the line for Yasumisu, and that makes you Yasumisu's enemy. Is that what you're saying? Am I wrong? People of Yasumisu, this is a test of your unity. You seem to be enjoying yourself. I'm only giving advice to someone from Kamafujiyoshi, and as one whose suspicions were lifted. Be silent. Kyonosuke Masato-san, you were quiet about this until the snake looked into you, right? What are you getting at? You already knew we had to be unified and accept death if it was necessary, didn't you? But you also knew that saying that would have made the snake's power way more popular, so you stayed quiet. That's just an assumption. She's right, though. That Kamafujiyoshi guy who's no longer a suspect is telling us to die and be okay with it, as if we can just accept that. Takumi-ni, you say something too. But he's right. Takumi-ni? I agree with him as well. Suspect me, hang me, whatever your decision, I will accept it. Rikako-san, as I said before, in this situation, Kamafujiyoshi and Yasumisu are irrelevant. Not to mention, I know it might be impudent of me, but I believe myself to be part of Yasumisu. Oh, look at that. A respectable attitude. Something a certain someone here doesn't have. However, I do think that expecting that of this girl would be a bit much. You're all scary. But we have no choice. There can be no exceptions. Then if you decide to hang her, I shall go with her. What? You mustn't. You only need the blood of 1 per day. I just have to die of my own volition. The corruption comes only for the sinner. If I'm already dead, then it no longer matters. But you're being a pain, Kyo. If you're gonna bleed, do it right. Inuimatsu. Yes? Think about what you're saying. Sorry, but you're ahead of Kamafujiyoshi, one of our oppressors. Takumi, don't be rude, Uematsu-sama. See? You people are the reason why Bachan got so scared. Don't act like you're one of us. My sincerest apologies. And why are you in Yasumisu anyway? Honestly, I'm inclined to just start leveling accusations at this point. Takumi-ni, are you saying all of this is Kamifujiyoshi's doing? Who knows? Maybe not all of it, but their efforts to keep us here show that they know something is up, don't they? At the very least, I really can't believe some guys who think the feast is an old wives' tale, and that the wolves are really on the human side. They know that the people of Yasumisu would die if the mist came. They deprive us of not only our prosperity, but even our lives. Slander! I won't say that Kamafujiyoshi is a group of saints, but they're resourceful and dignified people. Not to mention sensible. It's the age where science reigns supreme. Of course they don't believe in some old superstition. Isn't that the reason why? What do you mean? They didn't tell you all the secrets Fujiyoshi has to offer. That's because your only value to your family is your belief that the family heads are upstanding people, and that you don't shut up about it. Huh? Isn't that why they forced you to stay in the Nasato mansion when you returned, despite all the dangers here in Yasumisu? Now you're crossing the line. Are you saying my family abandoned me? Now, I feel like we're getting way off track here with this discussion. Hey, that seems plausible. You're just like Yasun and I. The heads are cruel. Those who lose a struggle for power, those deemed incapable, or simply those who dislike the ones in charge can simply be sent here. Our situation is one thing, but Mom, she came all the way from Tohoku and married in the Higuchi family, but got thrown out the moment Dad died. I didn't care about that. Mom, sorry, I didn't mean to. I was fine as long as I had Yoshitsugu and you, Yasunaga. Anyway, there's no doubt that they twisted our fates. I agree with Takumi-ni on that. Too bad you're stuck here too, huh? I'm not blaming Yasumisu's people. What's got into you? We're all gonna die anyway. Ochi-chan was acting all tough, but even he died so easily. I can't take this. Why didn't you just leave me there? Huh? You weren't like this back then. What's wrong? I've just had enough. How sad. What's wrong? When wolves come, everyone becomes demons. That they do. That's why we need to hang the Yomabito. Ugh. What a mess. Whatever. At least we know that Kamifujiyoshi's people won't come and save us. The road was blocked. That's one reason. Anyway, I do think we should trust Kyo now. My reason's the same as Chiyomi's. Oh dear. How sad. Ha! Think what you want. Anyway, when we have to hang someone, Uematsu is the easiest target. Keep acting like that and you'll be dead in no time. And what should I... Just be honest and tell us what you know. Keeping quiet is the worst. And letting others take care of it won't do either. Right, Kyo? Okay, monkeys, time to reveal yourselves. Why not just take control of the feast, Muro? I tried acting like the old man. That ain't me. I'll leave the rest up to you. I don't have much left to say. Let's just hold a vote and hang whoever ends up being picked. I'm telling you, that's too reckless. Of course, you're free to argue your case, especially if you can prove you're more valuable alive. However, I don't want to hear any "I'm human" or "I don't want to die" arguments. Everyone would say that. The Chosen One gives up and gives his life, leaving the fate of Yasumisu to the rest of us. We'll hang at the hanging pine. That should do the job. How do we vote? We'll start with the elders. You can have brief interviews, too. When the voter decides, I'll record it in my notepad. Huh? It's not anonymous? No way! We'll basically be telling people to die straight to their faces. I've had enough of Sarazawa's nitpicking. I'm starting. So, what's your name? That's the old guy. The old man who cried wolf. He's been old when I was still young. Do you understand what I'm saying, sir? Which one of us do you think is a wolf? Huh? Me? Why? Wolf. Scary. Scary! One vote for Chiemi Serizawa. Hold on! Are you seriously deciding who to kill like this? We have no choice. He's a participant too. We can't deny his right to vote, can we? Takumi Nichan, say something! Yasunaga, what do you think? I'll wait and see. Same here. Wait, are you really... So now it's me. I think I should vote for Chi-chan too. Why? Taiba-chan? I'm sorry, I just don't know, but it's strange how you're so mad about everything here. If the others survive, I don't mind dying. Oh, I hear that, but I won't agree. Yasumisu's people are important to me, but so is my life. Not to mention, I know I'm not a wolf, so I'm not just gonna roll over and die. Sure, I'll follow the rules. If I keep this up, I'll just get killed. Not to mention, we don't have any other better options. Here. Taiba-chan, let's calm down. Can you change your vote? Should I? You know what? Fine. It was my own fault for acting weird. Are you done? Muro, it's your turn. I'm voting for Mako. Takumi Nichan? You... Do I even need to give a reason? I know she's a kid, but they basically know nothing about her. It's just way too weird. Dang, Takumi, that's cold out of nowhere. I'm just gonna kill a kid. I thought you were a nicer guy than you are, but you've kinda... I mean, I know you're under a lot of stress, but he's kinda turned into a bit of a jerk. I don't know how true the legends are, but if something fishy comes from Saranaga, that's only fair to think she's fishy too. Takumi-ni, if that was how it worked, what would be the point of this bothersome feast? I don't think we should decide based on that either. Even if she didn't come from Saranaga, we still don't know who or what she is. Think about it this way. What if this little girl really was a wolf? If we all just ignored her because she's just a kid, she'd kill us all. You get that? Yeah. Looks like you're thinking too, Muro. Next, Madame Aribe. Haru Makishima-san. Mom? Why me? Why not? Tell me then, why'd you try to run away today? You were feeling guilty over killing your grandfather and Yoshitsugu, weren't you? No, that's not it. Then why? Because I was scared. I didn't want to stay here. Lies! Kaori-san, stop. His death hurt all of us, even me, and Haru. All of us hurt. Aribe-san, what will you do with your vote? Haru Makishima it is. I'm next, and I'm voting for the nameless old man. Huh? Huh? But why? That last exchange made me realize that he's not rational. We don't need someone like that around. That's so unfair. He regularly saw that the wolves were coming even before all this happened. That's more than enough to find him suspicious. Still unfair? I think he's either completely insane or secretly knows something. Have you ever considered that there were feasts before this one? He should have been around for at least one. But I haven't, and I'm over 70. But he could have, no? He's older than you, after all. He could know something, but he might be unable to say it because of senility, or might be hiding it out of malice. With this vote, I might be able to get info out of him. And if he's not, he's worthless. Worthless? Is it truly right to hang people? Based on whether they have worth at that particular moment? You say that, but if we continue, we'll make more progress tomorrow. What do you mean? Today, Muro will use his power to investigate someone. We'll know the truth about another person. The spider will once again protect Muro. Unless the old man's the spider, have you thought about that? By repeating this, it'll only take 3 times to know who's a wolf and who's not, even if we guess wrong. Really? In one day we'll hang someone will get killed by the wolves, and the snake will reveal another person. We'll find out about 3 people in one day, and since all the 11 besides Takumi Nichan and Masato-san are unknown, it'll take 3 or 4 times? Exactly. We'll only have to hang 3 people at most. With that in mind, if you don't want to hang those close to you, you should start with those who aren't. It's for the good of Yasumisu. Now listen here. I'm arguing to maximize the happiness of the majority, Muro. Nosato-san, are you serious? What? Shine's math only works out if the wolves only kill people the snake hasn't checked. What if they only went after those whose identities were already confirmed? For example, what if they went for you tonight? I don't think I can agree with voting based on such a flawed conclusion. Don't you think you're being too easy on the idea of killing your own? I haven't said anything about killing my own. I'd never say that. Oh, man. Well, there were some mistakes there, but we're already voting. I'm leaving your decisions to you. Next up is Rikaku Imatsu-san, right? Going by a seating order, I'm next. How troubling. I don't have enough info to go on. Why did he want to pass it to her straight away? Yeah, because, like... Yeah, what? So, yeah, they've been doing it in seating order, and he wanted to go straight to her. Now, why is that? Huh. I wonder if he and her are the monkeys. That'd be interesting. How troubling. I don't have enough info to go on. Why are you so calm? I'll make a mistake otherwise. That's why you and Mom should calm down, please. Hold on, Yasukun. Sorry to cut you off, but I just had an idea. Huh? What? Can the monkeys reveal themselves? Yes! I was waiting for this. Yeah, we said to do that, and she's not been doing it. Why would they? Yasunaka-kun and Sir Makishima said it'd be best if they don't present themselves. Well, I was thinking the same at first, but what's the point of the monkeys then? They just know who the other monkey is, right? It's not like they get any new info later. That's true. The only use I can think of for them is catching fake snakes. But they can confirm who the other monkey is. So they can be confirmed as non-wolves, just as easily as those investigated by the snake, right? What if they lie? Lying would be too risky. For example, I'm not a monkey, but if I went, hello, I'm a monkey, what would you do? I'd say, tell me who the other one is. Exactly, but I couldn't, because I'd be lying. Now, for example, if I said, alright, it's Mochi, then... How did you know? Don't joke around. Well, I can't prove it, can I? Is he really a monkey? I see, but what if he played along because he thought being a monkey would make him safe? The real monkeys would call him out, and then we'd hang all four one after another to be sure. That's... The rule of thumb is that only wolves would try to lie to survive, so that's the right thing to do, isn't it, Misato-san? That's true. Once you clarify that's what would happen, you shouldn't get anyone pretending to be a monkey. I see. It's too dangerous for both humans and wolves. It's just not worth it. Doesn't everyone understand? Looks like it. Then please, name yourselves. We'll lose 2 suspects. Right here! What is it, Mochi? I'm saying that I'm a monkey. Aha! Interesting. You're not just dragging out the joke? Yep. Yes. Yep. I'm a monkey. So like we agreed, who's the other monkey? Mako-chan! Huh? Mako-chan, is that true? What? When you woke up, was there something on your stomach? There was, a monkey. She knows the symbols? Yes, I taught them to her, alongside prayer to Shinnai. Do we have any other monkeys? Doesn't look like it. That confirms it. I see. So they really are monkeys. Crap. So I wasted my vote. I think he should be given a do-over. You want to bend the rules? It's best to make it impossible to retract votes. We'd have too many people trying to change their vote at the last minute. Good point. Fine. Sorry about interrupting. Back to Yasukun. Okay, so Mochi and Mako are monkeys. That's interesting. But why did he try to pass it over to Uematsu? I still don't get that. That's just really bizarre for him to want to do that. I'll vote for the old wolf man. My reason is that I think staying silent and doing nothing indirectly helps the wolves. I'm next. 1,000,000 votes on Taiba. What? 1 vote each. Then 1 vote for Taiba. Found it weird how she just voted for Chiane out of nowhere. What? What are you saying, boy? That's why you young'uns are such good for nothings. Wait, ooh, wrong button. I'm next. Alright. 1 vote for the old guy. Oh, they're gonna kill the old guy. So even you went for him. Shut up. My reason is that I don't have any better ideas right now. That's it. Haru-chan's turn. I'll vote for Uematsu-san. You had to have been the one who brought the corruption. No, I am only here to fulfill my role. That's weird. Then just do that and take in the corruption. You're not doing that because you're a wolf, aren't you? Watch your tongue! I cannot disagree. I'm powerless. You don't have to humble yourself before these people. It's your turn. The person who voted for you must be suspicious. Listen to this guy. I will vote for Yasunaga Aribe-san. You! I do not find him suspicious, but I just had a thought. There would be no worse possible occurrence than for he to be a wolf. I did say a lot. I can't blame you for thinking I'm just tricking people. But I don't think I said anything wrong. At least I didn't intend to. I don't mind if you vote for me. I believe that votes to express your outlook are as important as well. The old wolf man is at the top with 3 votes. You there, child. You're the last one. Mako, do you understand? I need to choose the wolf. Yes. Her. Me? Wait, seriously? You're scary. I'm scared of you too. We need a final vote. The 9 people besides Chiemi Serizawa and the old man will vote for one of these last 2. The wolf is coming. Oh no, the results are in. Old wolf man, 7 votes. Chiemi Serizawa, 2 votes. Everyone besides Taiba and Mako-chan voted for the wolf guy. Shut up. Are you ready, sir? We all decided this. Every one of us is equally guilty. Better get ready, old man. Do you understand? I need time. Huh? Need to clean up. You want to take care of your belongings? I believe we can allow that much. What if he's planning to escape? Haru-chan. Then I'll keep an eye on him. You do that. As soon as he returns, we will take him to Saranaga. Rikaku-san, where is the rope? Right here. Oh, we're back to us. Okay, so... really doubt it's the old wolf man who is the man who cried wolf. He needs to prepare... Oh, wait a minute. If he needs to prepare... What if he's the was it the spider that protects people? What if he is the spider and he is preparing to protect Takumi one more time? I think so. That's my theory now. As I whiled away the time with some fruitless contemplation, I heard noises outside that brought me back to reality. People were shouting loudly. What's wrong? I opened the window and shouted. I was facing the cliff, so I couldn't shout to the settlement directly. They probably didn't hear me, since I didn't get a response. What happened? So I shouted even louder. Usaishi, stay right where the fuck you are. Huh? Was I about to get punched? What happened? I can only repeat myself. It's dangerous right now. It was? What do you mean? I didn't get a reply this time. I only heard several voices clamoring. Then I heard someone up the dorm stairs. Who's there? I got no response again. What was happening here? Someone was definitely close. It just made me more tense. Oh, Araki-san. Wow. Shimmy, yet again. What a twist. What's that supposed to mean? Sorry, but you should stay there right now. This might be really bad. Her voice was cut off by a scream, though it was more like intense cursing. It was Takumi-san's voice, no doubt about it. Shimmy left without saying another word. Huh? Hold on, open up! I fought the door, but it showed no signs of opening. I can help, damn it! Shit. Like hell I was gonna stay out in the loop any longer. Turning around, I went to the open window and decided to try jumping out. Though I was on the 2nd floor, it wasn't too high of a drop. It'd make my legs a little numb, but so what? I jumped out without any hesitation. I properly bent my knee so I didn't hurt myself at all. Then I ran to the settlement where I'd heard the voices from. I quickly understood the cause of Takumi-san's shouting. They were cries of despair. The reason was somehow we're downhill along the way to the graveyard. It was a small grove of low trees with a carpet of leaf mold below. It would have been hard to see even if there was mist. You could hear running water nearby. I couldn't see where it came from, but it was probably in an irrigation channel for the paddy fields. There was a small crowd gathered. I peeked through a space between them. What? There were bodies? 2 of them? One was an old man, and the other that of a child. Their appearances were vastly different. Each one was in a similar state. They lay on the ground with their hands over their stomachs, utterly still and covered in blood. These are the corpses of the old man who cried wolf and Chikamochi Kamoshida. No, not Mochi! No! Why? What happened? Fusaishi, weren't you in the dorm? I was until now. Bullshit, you're the one who did this, aren't you? Huh? No, I'm not. I just came out of the dorm. I even talked to Chiami-chan. Yeah, it's not Haraki-san, Takumi-ni-chan. Then who did this? Forget that. We need to treat. There's no point. Don't touch them. We might still make it. They've lost all their blood. Their stomachs are open and their guts are all over. What kind of treatment can bring them back, huh? You know one? Go on then, say it! There was nothing I could say in response. There were 5 of us on the scene. Chiemi Serizawa, Takumi Muro, me, as well as Yasunaga Aribe, who was vomiting on a nearby bush, and Rikaku Uematsu, who was watching the remains from a distance. Most were proactive, and I could see why they were here, but Rikaku Uematsu felt a bit out of place. But then I remembered that we were already pretty short-handed. What happened? Who did this, damn it? Look here. She pointed to the old guy's clothes. There were gatherings of fur all over his garment. A werewolf. If that was the culprit, then this was the work of the corruption. Was that what she was saying? No. This is completely different from how the others had died. The fur had proved little. Let me see the wound. I told you not to touch it. But this is completely different. Quit acting like you know shit! You never find out anything. But if we stop trying to look, we won't understand anything at all. Quit the act, outsider. Takumi Nichan, calm down. Shut up! Everything went to hell when he got here. If he didn't come, none of this... It felt like he was about to grab me. I could clearly see the intense emotion whirling in his eyes. I thought I could get him to trust me, but now it was back to square one. Mochi, why? Why? Yasunaga Aribe calmed down a bit and faced the remains of his dear friend. His voice was shaking. The expression on the corpse was eerily pale and emotionless. Even a look of agony was absent. It looked like he was smiling. Did his face muscles simply go limp? This isn't the corruption. How do you know? I'll prove it if you let me pass. He glared at me with immense hatred before letting me through. Look away if you can't stomach this kind of thing. I walked up to the old guy's corpse. He looked as distant as always, but the lack of blood flowing in his face simply made his appearance even more creepy. I avoided looking at it while I grabbed his back and rolled him onto it. With a sweat sound entrail spilled from the wound in his stomach. Ugh! Ugh! How horrid. Don't force yourselves, people. Except you, Takumi-san. Look! The stomach was clearly torn open by a blade. This wasn't some supernatural punishment. It was caused by a person wielding a weapon. And since there's no weapon nearby, it means that someone intentionally removed it from the scene. So Yasumitsu, as someone who's both armed and capable of an act like this. Please give me the details of what happened during the feast. What led to this? With several people here to tell me, I ended up with a decent grasp of how today's feast went. Kyonosuke-shi insisted they choose someone who to kill by vote. The wolf guy and Chiemi ended up with the same amount of votes, resulting in a tiebreaker. Most ended up voting for the wolf guy, sentencing him to death. He said he wanted to take care of some things, so he and Chikamochi Kamoshida went out while the rest stayed where they were. Were they really the only ones who left? Yeah, the feast was still going on at that point. Them leaving was an exception. You expected them to come back and resume the feast. What would you have done then? This isn't something we can tell an outsider. Alright, but anyway, they didn't come back. How long did you wait for them? No more than an hour. We started to worry and went out to search. Found them in less than 10 minutes. So the culprit was one of those not present. Chiemi, Takumi-san, Yasunaga-kun, and Rikaku Uematsu. The 5 in the hall, Nosaroshi, Kaori-san, Meiko, Haru-chan, and Tai-san, simply couldn't be responsible. So someone killed the 2, changed into some clean clothing, and came back to pretend to keep searching? That's impossible. Did you see each other while searching? No, we split up to cover more ground. Let's return to the hall. We then went to the hall. Kyonosuke kept watch and confirmed that no one besides the victims and the search party had left the building. That limited the potential murderers to the search party and I. I asserted that I was still in the room when it all happened, and they believed me for now. Though Takumi-san continued to suspect that I used some sort of trick to escape and commit the murders. Well, that was fair, considering everyone else was with them, but I knew I wasn't the culprit. That left only one possibility. They died right after they left the hall, then someone removed the weapon. And you're still the only one who could have done it. I'm telling you, I heard him in his room. I'll say it as much as I have to. I'm innocent. And since I am, something else had to be responsible for their deaths. I see you're avoiding using the word murder. You noticed? I am. As it stands, this could be suicide, death by illness, or poison, followed by desecration of the corpses and removal of the weapon. How would doing something like that benefit us? If you ask me, things became much simpler if we assume you and Serizawa are partners in crime, don't you think? I don't know. But doing that wouldn't benefit me either. Really? Tell me, is there any proof you didn't know each other before this? Huh? We didn't, obviously, but what does that have to do with anything? The people here believe in eerie legend. You could have come here to take advantage of that and pretend to be monsters to murder them for your enjoyment. Please stop. There are some lines you shouldn't cross. Stop this, all of you! Tai Yamawaki-san walked out of the hall. I could see Haru Makishima, Meiko, and Kaori Aribe behind her. That made a total of 10 survivors, 9 if you excluded me, who hadn't participated in the feast. Whoever killed Chikamochi and the Elder, they went against the laws. Shinnai-sama will subject them to the corruption. She put her hands together in prayer and faced the peak of Mount Shinnai at the opposite side of Saranaga. Will he, though? Will he? That is a question I'm interested in answering. Strangely enough, that was enough for everyone to fall silent. Rikako Uematsu joined in and Meiko copied her. This was the settlement's way of solving things. They gave up on discourse and just left it all in the hands of a higher power. Bachan, what do we do now? One has already spilt blood for the day. The Elder has died. Let's end the feast for the day and clean up. Alright, Yasunaga, help out. You just sit still. The situation was only getting worse. Soon after that, it was time to shelter, so everyone retreated to their houses. Takumi-san had entered my room and boarded my window completely shut. If you're not the culprit, something's going to happen even if you're locked in. His words were harsh, but there was a hint of composure. He might have actually believed that I wasn't the one who did it, or maybe he found peace in the idea that the mountain would punish the culprit. Or perhaps he just believed it was the work of something supernatural. Whatever the case, he was dwelling less and less on the matter. Was the wolf guy a wolf? I had no idea whether that was plausible. Assuming he wasn't, 2 of the remaining 9 were wolves. Okay, so... And I don't think they told us that Mochi and Meiko were the monkeys. So we have 1 confirmed villager dead, unfortunately. So the Takumi is going to need to investigate somebody else. With Kyonosuke being a confirmed human, Takumi being the snake, and and Meiko being a monkey, there were a whole 6 suspects. Thanks to my advice, Chiami suggested the monkeys reveal themselves, and they turned to be Chikamochi Kamoshida and Meiko. Though Mochi had just died, that was a heavy blow. Him being a confirmed non-wolf was one reason, but more than that, he was one of the few people here who'd actually talk to me without restraint. He was somewhat of an oddity compared to the rest of the people here, but I did find him to be a fun guy. I'd like to get back at whatever injustice had stolen his life. If only I could go back in time and make different decisions. Clearing my head, I resumed thinking. Since she was acting suspicious today, Takumi-san would investigate Haru-chan. Tomorrow, we'd only have 5 suspects. That gave them decent chances of picking out the 2 wolves. It seemed to me like it wouldn't be that hard to find the murderers, who would surely be shaken by what they'd done. And then the outed wolf, not wanting to die alone, would reveal their partner. That was the most optimistic way to look at it. From a pessimistic standpoint, though, the situation was absolutely terrible. 4 people had died today. In a normal feast of the Yomi Purge, it had to be 1 per day and 1 per night. That was double that. If things hadn't gone so well in the forest, even Haru Makishima might have died. Not to mention the dreadful state Kaori Aribe was in. I was told their relationship had gotten worse. Kaori-san was in no state to prepare food, so it was likely that no one had eaten anything today. The hunger would only worsen everyone's morale. It was best for them to prioritize getting a proper meal tomorrow. Even so, there's no guarantee we wouldn't get any more irregular deaths. For example, someone at their wit's end could attack a wolf suspect despite the threat of corruption. If they ended up losing more humans while the number of wolves stayed the same, the humans would be done for either tomorrow or the day after. Escape. I'd been entertaining that idea ever since lunch. The path was ruined, and I'd had to search through an underdeveloped grove, but I hadn't run into anything supernatural there while searching for Haru-chan. Maybe I could get out as long as I watched where I was going. I also had Saranaga as another option. Everyone here hated it, but that just made it less likely for me to get caught. Going down a misty, rocky cliff was dangerous, but at least it was a one-way road. I just had to be careful I didn't get taken by the currents, and it was definitely better than just staying here and dying. However, perhaps even suggesting that was dangerous. According to Rikaku Uematsu, the effects of the corruption were limited to the one who broke the laws. She could escape them by killing herself. However, if someone said they wanted to escape the village, the punishment would likely go to both the one attempting it, as well as the ones who allowed it. The escape would surely become a hell of an experience then. However, there was an optimistic view of the situation. Something was actually here. Something abnormal was here in Yasumitsu, killing and menacing people using abnormal methods. At the very least, Yoshitsugu Aribe, who went to face it, suffered a horrible death. The superstitions weren't baseless, and it was best to look at that situation from that angle. My plan of escape contradicted that. But then, how could I prepare for whatever was to come? The best I could think of was trying to familiarize myself with Fujiyoshi's superstitions. Perhaps I could find some sort of weak point or hint that could lead me to their identity? 5. Prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. The action rhyme that it was obviously referring to the Feast of the Yummy Purge. I couldn't remember all the lyrics, but it felt like there was quite a lot of info in there. Perhaps there were more hints for the feast in Yasumitsu's culture and general area. I felt I had to talk to Rikaku Uematsu. She was an adult who seemed more involved in Fujiyoshi's prayers and stuff than most. I needed to arm myself with more info by tomorrow morning. That, along with the proper progression of the feast, are my only ways to survive. About today's feast. They must have decided to hang the wolf guy because they just didn't care about him all that much. Simple as that. Sure, it was important to get rid of the participants who weren't cooperative. However, the fact that we'd lost 6 people, but they still hadn't gone beyond he or she is kind of shady, was pretty bad. Yesterday, they wouldn't have hung anyone for such a petty reason. Well, the problem was that they hadn't hung anyone at all so far, but then again, it wouldn't be a good thing to give the impression it was okay to kill people just for seeming shady. This place was regressing back to a feudal, superstitious mental state. If there was something that could stop them from sinking there, it would be an outsider like me. I steeled my resolve and waited for the night to pass. Good evening! Ah! I was so startled by the voice on the other side of the door that I momentarily screamed. What time was it? 7? It was too early for an attack and too late to walk around. What's wrong with you? Aren't you going to get punished if you don't sleep? I think another hour is fine. I was awake until 8 yesterday and nothing happened. I've been sleeping too much, honestly. I'm not tired, but I am really, really hungry. Don't you have your food stocks? With Kaori-san being, well, you know, I decided not to touch it. Might share it with the others. We're all hungry today, so I'll just tough it out. How upstanding. You should eat, though. What, the stuff from before? Nah, I'll pass. Why are you here anyway? Can't sleep. Is that really it? Haruki-san, do you suspect me? No. I do! Right here. Hold my hand up. Right here. I suspect you. Why? Because you told them about the monkeys, knowing full well what it meant. The Feast of the Yomipoge is a well-constructed communication game. Well-constructed? I mean, there's no way to win this game beyond communication. Shikamochi-kun felt the same thing. To win, both the humans and wolves need to have tricks and some individual strategies. Consider the monkeys. They seem useless at first, but you can use them to easily eliminate 2 suspects. And this is possibly from day 1, so they can become reliable leaders. Though that'd be hard for Mochi and Mako. Yeah, he was a free spirit, she's a child. The wolves, on the other hand, have to go on the defensive. In a situation of being suspicious is enough to get yourself hanged, it's important not to draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done, though. Yeah, keeping your silence can be just as suspicious as being a blabbermouth. Exactly. But there are two factors that make it easy to gauge trustworthiness right from the start. Do they have something to do with monkeys? Yeah. You have to watch out for those who give bad advice or don't provide useful suggestions. A good example of the former is Kinosuke-san. His poor planning threw everything into disarray, and that makes him really suspicious. But he's confirmed to be human. Right. Well, that's assuming Takumi-san wasn't lying about being the snake. Huh? You saying he could be lying? It's not impossible. After all, anyone can say that they have a guardian. Honestly, if I were a wolf, I'd lay low until I killed a few of them and then claim to have a guardian to ensure my safety. I see, but Takumi Nichan came out on the first day. Yeah. That was basically suicidal. But since that allows the spider to protect him, it's like a telling blow that hurt the attacker. I think. Anyway, all things considered, I'd say it's safe to trust Takumi-san and Kinosuke-shi. Personally, I think you're trustworthy too, since you spoke up about the monkeys. What if I only did it because I saw your game? Oh, that'd be bad. Wait, hold on, aren't you basically saying you suspected me until I spoke up about the monkeys? Oh, you noticed. Nice. Sky, what the hell, man? I did it because I wanted to believe you. Alright, I forgive you then. Woohoo! So who's the most suspicious one? Haru-chan. Thought so. She's not making much sense lately, and you can explain her shift in personality by assuming it's because she killed her granddad. Or maybe she couldn't agree with the other wolf on their decisions to kill Kanzo-shi and stop trusting anyone. Oh, that'd make sense. You could make up 1,000 reasons like this, though. We couldn't go by just that. They'd said Haru hadn't gathered many votes, but they treated her like some kind of pariah, making clear that everyone suspected her. It was only natural to use the snake to check on her. But she doesn't seem all that good at games and stuff. Probably wasn't fair to judge her prelim not making any useful contributions. In that regard, Yasukun is way more suspicious. Huh? But he did say a lot, like pointing out my math was incorrect. And he did say something like what you just said, not doing anything directly helps the wolves or something like that. Not to mention, on the first day, he suspected that the spider should hide. That's true. Though most of those things were minor, he was definitely contributing to the game. The first day was especially important. For the wolves, it was best to create a flow where they could just stay quiet and wait for those with guardians to out themselves. What bothered me was the fact that he wasn't the one who brought up leader selection and the monkey thing. He was shady because he hadn't made those useful propositions. I thought he'd figured those things out a while ago. Or maybe I, as an outsider, just had a better grasp of the situation. I guess he's innocent then. I don't know about the rest, though. I can't even imagine what Rikaku Uematsu-san and Tai-san are thinking. I know what you mean. But if you looked at the circumstances outside the feast, Rikaku Uematsu was pretty shady. I always felt like he was hinting at something. It wouldn't surprise me if she knew more than she let on. If she was a village head, she could know things only those from Kamifujiyoshi knew. There was more than enough reason to suspect her. If only we could follow that lead and solve this whole thing, it'd make things way easier. Haraki-san, are you enjoying this? No. But you look like the type who likes mystery stories. I won't deny that, but I can't really enjoy myself when people I care about are in danger. If I did act like some master detective, I'd let it just be some useless amateur. It wouldn't accomplish anything. I'm not sure I buy that. What do you mean? Everyone else is a mess. I think most normal people would lose it in this kind of situation. I could say the same about you. I'm not exactly normal either, because I'm a wolf! Oh yeah, I heard that you almost killed someone. Who told you that? That's a secret, though it didn't sound intentional. Well, how do I say it? I think it happened in middle school. I grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Yasamisu kids. Whoa! Some of them were connected to the head family, so it became a big deal. That's basically why the adults here are so harsh on me. I see. So you fight out of a sense of justice. She was sent to Yasamisu for making enemies out of the village heads. I wouldn't say that. It's more like I just have a short temper and wanted to make a scene. Rebellious phase? More or less. Same as Haru-chan and Yoshikun. In a place as rural as this, it's rare for children to grow up as level-headed as Yasukun, don't you think? Really? I think they'd be healthier and nicer than the edgy brats from the city. Let me rephrase that. In a place as poor as this. Well, there was no doubt that Yasumisu was destitute. There were no cars, cell phones. It didn't even feel like it had an economy. They probably lived mostly off the land, making money from whatever they could spare from their farm and hunts. Since they had no decent way to sell stuff to anyone outside, most of their business had to be done through Kamifujiyoshi. It was entirely likely they were ripping them off. No way this place could be wealthy in these circumstances. I didn't believe that money could buy everything, but poverty took its toll on the people suffering from it. Some could live in poverty while retaining their purity, but that was borderline saintly. It was a lifestyle too difficult for the common masses. Oh, I hit the wrong button again. And since the people of Yasumisu were ostracized from Kamifujiyoshi, they were targets of unjust pressure from day one. I could understand why the children here strayed from the path. Though, when you looked at it like that, the way they strayed was so mild it was almost cute. Are you disturbed now? Not really. You're lying. You don't think I'm so blunt I'd whip out a blunt object to beat you up. I'm just going to ignore that poor attempt at a pun. Sorry. My ex wasn't any different. Oh? Oh, I see. You seem confused and I have no idea why. You weren't lying when you said you broke up with your girlfriend? You thought I was? I thought it was just some kind of pickup line. That's just mean. Our breakup was insane. I actually felt like my life was in danger. Whoa, sorry to hear that. What about you? Huh? Your history with guys. I shared mine, so hearing yours is only fair, right? Yeah, well... How many did you go out with? 2, I guess? What happened to you being a hyper slut who's done it for 53 guys? I never said that! I did exaggerate a bit, but I did get tons of invitations. And yet you only went out with 2? Well, I didn't find many guys I got along with. What about me? Let's not go any further. If I let myself get too attached, I'd be too scared of dying. Being afraid of death is normal, though, isn't it? Not really. Why? God is way scarier than death. I feel like you have a very unusual image of God. Really? You think of it as something frightening that you might actually meet, right? Everyone has met God, maybe they just can't see it. And God really is scary, just that no one knows how. Myself included? You're the only one I don't understand. That's probably why I'm afraid of losing you. That's something you say to those you promise your eternal love to. Are you mad? A bit. I see. We've gotten this far, and you're still being cagey regarding your own background. It won't take playing hard to get so far until it gets annoying. I'm just not sure what to do. This isn't easy for me either. Just tell me everything. I'm going back. Chiemi. Good night. What the hell? Why didn't she talk? Did she still not trust me? Was she messing with me? Was she just kind of crazy? Or was it something else? Crap. I wanted to chase her down and get a real answer out of her, but I was locked in. This was so frustrating. Chiemi's still suspicious. She is still, like, super suspicious, okay? I just want to say that. But this wasn't the time to worry about that. Who would the wolves go for tonight? The wolf guy was dead, meaning there was one less person who'd vote Chiemi out tomorrow. It wasn't likely she'd get top vote. It was best to think that the wolves would go for someone who was useful to the humans who couldn't be killed with the votes. That meant she and Yasunaga-kun were the ones at highest risk. On the other hand, their survival would make things difficult in other ways. I'd probably be forced to consider the possibility that they themselves were wolves. Could I really trust Chiemi? I felt I could, but not completely. Whatever the case, it was such a situation where the more talkative ones were seen as suspicious would make it harder for her to survive. Should I have talked to her about running away? No, that was probably pointless. I didn't know much about her whole God thing, but it was clear that escape wasn't even an option for her. Something scary that everyone had met, yet not fully perceivable? Was she speaking figuratively, or could she literally see something? Shit, I don't care. I became irritated. My hunger was starting to get to me. Figured it was better than just wasting my mental energy. I focused on taking a bath and going to bed. I had no idea just how naive my predictions would prove to be. 5:15. Hang on, real quick. I want to see... I'm going to look at the chart here. Okay, we don't actually know how long this... Ah, okay. So this chapter, we did have the leave Yasumisu choice, which we chose not to make. So there's a lot going on. There's a decision back here that we can't... It's interesting, the hide in the outhouse has so many story branches. Alright. I woke up at 5 in the morning. The window was still boarded up, so I couldn't see anything outside. All I could do was sit around and wait. Eventually, I could hear the objects keeping me in get removed, and I was greeted by Yasunaga Uribe and Chiemi Serizawa. Those two actually survived. I met up with Haru Makishima, too. Her face was pale and she had bags under her eyes. No one here looked healthy anymore, but she was beyond even that point. She'd gone completely meek, too. The defiance from yesterday was gone, and she was just letting Yasunaga-kun guide her. She had lost another friend, after all. We arrived at the dining hall, but found no one there. The door was unlocked. That was a bad sign. It was Kanza Makishima's place all over again. Mom should be sleeping upstairs. With that knowledge, I opened the door. What if she was attacked? Even if she wasn't, considering her state yesterday, it wasn't unlikely she did something unthinkable, such as suicide. However, I soon found out my words were for nothing. Kaori-san was standing all alone in the dark dining hall wearing an apron. The fact she wasn't doing anything but standing was just eerie. Oh, my. Good morning. She turned around and greeted us. Her voice was the only thing calm about her. Her eyes were bloodshot, and signs of malnourishment were all across her face. Her faint, forced smile made her seem on the verge of collapse. She completely failed at acting normal. Her heart was probably swirling with panic and sorrow as great as yesterday. Everyone here could see it. Mom, everyone's hungry. I'll make food so you just rest. Huh? But I can do it myself. Oh, I'll help. I can actually cook for myself, so I know what to do. After they volunteered to support Kaori-san, I thought about what purpose I could serve here. Let's go. I called to Haru-chan before going outside. She came with me, but she wasn't saying a word. During yesterday's feast, she had a fight with Kaori-san. The one who voted for Haru-chan due to the change in attitude and failed escape attempt. I couldn't blame her for that. Considering her personality, I imagined that the exchange had been extremely intense. That was why getting her out of the dining hall was a good move. Problem was, we didn't really have anything to talk about. This was made worse by the hostility she'd shown me until just recently. According to Mochi, that was the product of her affection toward Yasunaga-kun and all the drama surrounding him. Normally, I'd playfully give her a hard time about that kind of thing, but it seemed in poor taste, considering the situation. She was staring daggers at me. Maybe I just had to ask her. Haru Makishima-san. What? I'll be frank. Are you a wolf? No! She didn't hesitate at all, not like that meant anything. You don't believe me? Then Takami-ni will check. That will show you. Are you saying that despite knowing? Huh? Knowing what? If he were alive, he'd be the one looking after Kaori-san in the dining hall. Yesterday, he went there first thing in the morning. With Kaori-san in her current state, that was all the more reason for him to be there, but now he's missing. In a way, that's just... We'll go check to be sure. Lead the way. Okay. Yup. Yup. The old man was the spider. And the reason he said he had to prepare, I bet, was because he wanted to do one last protection before he died, and somebody killed him because they figured he was the spider. Taiba, are you awake? Haru knocked on the door and tried to open it, but it was locked, meaning it wasn't touched. Tai-san came out sooner than later. She looked pretty displeased to begin with, but upon seeing me, she displayed outright disgust. What are you doing here? Sorry, Kaori-san isn't well and we need more people. Where's Takumi? We're gonna check on him. I see. Her gloomy expression told me she realized what might have happened. She said she had to prepare, so we excused ourselves. Please ask if you need anything. Oh yes, of course. She shut the door on us. You're nice to all women, aren't you? What the hell was she saying? Being considerate of elders and women is the gentlemanly thing to do. Is that how you feel about Chiane? I like her quite a lot. Please don't. I'd feel so bad for Nichan. Nichan. Yasunaga-kun, surely. What do you mean by that? Yoshi-kun and Mochi are gone. Kaoru-san and Chine are all he has left. Also, she's the strongest among us, and she's always protected us from the people of Kamafuji-yoshi and adults. Don't take her away from us. So that's how it was. I wasn't sure how she actually felt about Chiemi, but there was definitely more trust and reliance than I'd expected. Yasunaga-kun spoke like he'd given up on Chiemi, but deep down he was actually glad she'd returned. Haru-chan was aware of that, and she actually liked Chiemi. That was why she concluded that they should be together. However, it was clear that she didn't feel like giving them her blessing. I understand how you feel. The end result depended on Chiemi, and since she hated Yasumisu, I felt like it wouldn't be something Haru-chan wanted. Then again, I really didn't know what was going on in Chiemi's head either, and I had no idea who'd survive, so making predictions was a waste of time. For now, everyone should focus on ending the feast. I don't think I could do much, but if there's something you don't want to tell your own, I'm willing to listen. Huh? What do you mean? Nothing must, it just feels like you have a lot to worry about. And personally, I still think that escaping outside is a good idea. That's not possible. Didn't you try it yourself? But I failed, didn't I? I didn't realize we can't escape. Isn't that because you just happened to hurt your foot? It didn't just happen. Do you believe in God too? What did you just say? God doesn't exist. If I doubted that, I just couldn't cope with anything. There was a weird aura around her for a second, but then she walked away, leaving me no choice but to follow her. That was a weird reaction. We arrived at the houses. The mysterious girl was on the verge of crying. Good morning, what's wrong? Speak normally. You know how to, right? Come on, be more mature. Repeat after me. Good morning. This was hopeless. Haru-chan glared at her while I stayed patient. Where's Rikako-san? Oni-chan? Yeah, where is she? She hasn't come out. Her house is right there. It really was. I'd been here yesterday. I knocked out and called to her. There was no response. Oh, wait, did they kill Rikako? Haru-chan and I looked at each other and tried opening the door. Huh? It was locked. Rikako-san. Still no response. I hesitantly put my ear against the door. I heard some sort of rustling sound. She's probably getting dressed. Then he really did. We don't know for sure. It could still be Kinosuke-shi. What about me? Oh, never mind. Well, I did expect him to live. Is Rikako-san well? He's one of those that's like keeping him alive is actually good for the werewolves. She's all you care about, isn't she? And yeah, she does seem alright. Oh, I think the reason he wanted to pass it off to her is because of their relationship is... yeah, being from Kamafuji-yoshi. I got a bad feeling about something. Good to see it was nothing. Does this mean that the one to die was Lady Yamawaki? Taiba was alive. What? Why was he so positive? Haru-chan, take Maiko to the dining hall. Kinosuke-san, help me out. He tried to say something, but decided against it. He must have realized what happened to the one who usually be given these annoying jobs. As expected, the door to his house was unlocked. The reek of fresh blood was so strong he could smell it outside. I thought that was enough to help me prepare, but once I saw the source, I couldn't keep down what few contents my stomach had left. Two from the first day, Kanzo Makishima and Yoshitsugu Aribe, they'd lost all semblance of form to the point their corpses felt unrealistic. On the other hand, Chikamochi Kamoshida and the wolf's guy's corpses were far too clean. Their faces were still intact after all. However, Takumi Muro-san's corpse was even balanced and ruined and intact. He was spread out on the floor, surrounded by splashes and splotches of blood, as well as some bloody footprints. Scattered brain, gray matter, bone fragments, eyes. About 60% of his face was gone. This time, the method was clear. There was a rifle lying next to his corpse. The weapon was next on the scene for once. There was a gun. What did it mean? I wanted to think about that, but I was too shaken by the clear agony Takumi-san's death had brought him. You could see his suffering on the still present half of his face. His hands were on his head too, as if to cover his face or reach for the clearly fatal wound. He died while holding onto his shattered brain. Though fatal, the first attack hadn't killed him instantly. He could still move after it, which was a testament to his strength and willpower. His life has ended as he had suffered overwhelming despair was written all too clearly on his death message. So that confirms it. The old man was the spider. I'm calling that right now. The old man was the spider. My emotions bubbled and overwhelmed my thoughts, and I vomited once again. Are you okay? Kyonosuke asked, clearly avoiding looking at it himself. Bring me someone who can use guns, please. I never expected you to come along. Her expression was too stern and serious for me to even say that. Takumi Nichan, shit! She cursed and looked at the gun. This is Kanzo Ji-shan's rifle. She grasped its long body and picked it up. All the 5 bullets were fired. See any empty cartridges? I'll look around. I found them real quick. They were covered in blood and flesh. Yeah, I found the metal cylinders. 5 of them. They were 2 meters away from the corpse, very close to one another. Even the culprit fired from there, but grabbed them afterwards. Look at the handle. Chimney extended the rifle to me. I did as told. Compared to the rest of the gun, which had blood on every part, the handle was clean, like it had been wiped. They removed the fingerprints? Probably. Chimney then held it like he was about to shoot, and aimed at Takumi-san's body. It was fired from here. How can you tell? The way the blood scattered. See how it's concentrated around there? It's proof the culprit fired from a low angle. Also, normal rifles can't make such a huge mess unless they're fired from really close. We'd make it point blank and the stuff would get on and around the muzzle. The rifle would be even dirtier. And that was why it was natural to think it had been fired from where she was standing, near the cartridges. Can you actually aim and hit something with this? As long as you know how to aim and the target isn't moving, that's all you need. So this was done by someone who knows how to use guns. By the way, it's just a matter of looking at the bead through the sight. Guns are useful little toys that make murder so easy anyone can do it. What about loading? That doesn't seem like something a layman can do, is it? Good point. But even Tai Ba-chan has experienced firing a gun. Finding the culprit in Yasumisu won't be easy. This was a settlement where the people went hunting. Basically everyone here must have touched rifles before. All we could really assume was that Meiko-chan couldn't have done this. Well, yeah, right. Because she's the last... Well, yeah. Now, it's not like every bullet hit the head. One grazed the ear, one hit the chest, one hit the shoulder, and look here, a bullet hole. She pointed at a small part of the floor that was ruined. So only one hit the head. Yeah, I think that one wasn't fatal, though. It's probably the one in the chest that ended it. She looked at the body's pose and made the same conclusions as me. Why do you know so much about guns, anyway? I have a hunting license. I know how to use guns, traps, and nets. I used to do a lot of skeet shooting outside of Yasumisu. I'm pretty good with the gun. Well, damn. Didn't expect that. I understand why. Did you plan to return here and become a hunter? I just wanted to have a gun, that's it. She said that as if it was no big deal. Her tone seemed kind of dangerous. Yes, so much so that she almost killed someone. I think it happened at middle school. Grabbed a bat and beat up some students who were bullying the Yasumisu kids. It was the impression you get from a girl capable of random acts of violence. I was probably jumping to conclusions, though. No, you're not. Can we clean it up now? If you're fine with it, let's do it then. Did you find out anything? I'm now 100% certain that those murders were committed by people. The culprit used a gun and wiped off the fingerprints, acts that demonstrated a very human level of cunning. If we were up against something supernatural, they'd just use their mysterious powers instead. If something mysterious can be explained using mundane means, then it was caused by mundane means. That was a general rule I lived by, proven through both knowledge and first-hand experience. Supernatural powers that required carrying out occult rituals are prime examples of things that it applied to. The more detailed the preparation required, the more opportunities to notice something amiss. If the trick relied on concealing the method, it was safe to assume the method was something mundane. Even if this death wasn't caused by some kind of supernatural force. It just happened unobserved. We had people who could do it, and the methods that fit. That was the best way to look at it, right? Maybe you're right. You agree? I do think it was done by people. I know, by actual humans. But didn't that go against her whole God story? I wanted to ask that, but seeing her eyes made me fall silent. Her eyes were wide and cloudy, but her lips let out clear words. No one... I looked away. But I wanted to cover my ears, too. No one can escape God. I found her words so irrational it began to frighten me. I asked Chimmy to call Kyonosuke to help carry the corpse, but she insisted on doing it herself. I caved and began the unpleasant task. Following Takumi-san's example, I removed the door and placed his body on it. Chiem and I took an end and lifted it up. He was as heavy as he looked, and I wouldn't have been surprised if this was too much even for two men. However, Chiem lifted her side without letting out a single grunt of exertion. It felt like active rejection of the idea that she might need help. We slowly began walking. Kyonosuke was outside. He was anxious about something. It didn't look like he was waiting for us, so maybe Rikaku Uematsu hadn't come out yet. I couldn't afford to stop and chat. Relaxing my arms or lower body could lead to me dropping Takumi-san. I kept walking forward without a single word. Sighing and stopping was our sign that one of us needed a rest. Every time one of us did, we lowered him to the ground, rubbed our aching hands, adjusted our grips, and resumed walking. As we approached the cliff, Kimi's expression grew darker. Takumi Nichan was the youngest of the adults. He was like an older brother to me. I wasn't going to ask how that mattered. I didn't see a point in questioning it. I simply nodded, and continued to play the role of audience. He played with me a lot, and always protected me when the other adults got mad at me. There's nothing good about this humid place, but he loved Yasumisu and the people living here. Yeah, I could tell. He was honest to a fault. Yeah. I don't want to just throw him away. Of course you don't. I don't like this either. Should we stop? The only ones who really care about this are Takumi-san himself and Tai-san, right? No, we gotta do this. Because of the corruption? Yeah. I continued asking if she was sure, but she didn't change her mind, so we ended up throwing his body into Saranaga. We walked through the graveyard, careful not to trip. We could now see the hanging pine through the mist. Our destination was near. We carefully closed in on the cliff and pushed the door toward it. Bye, Takumi Nichan. She said that right as I felt the body slide off. It was falling. I'd done this several times now, and it made me feel empty. It would eventually hit the water, make a splash, and that'd be it. Huh? Did you hear the water? Not sure. Did we both miss it somehow? Or maybe the bottom of Saranaga opened up into a yawning chasm leading to Yomi. You've got quite the imagination. No one knows what's beyond the mist. There could be anything out there. Should I go down and take a look? You won't return. That was how she saw the world. Let's go back. We returned to do another investigation of Takumi-san's house, but something strange had happened while we were gone. Kyonosuke was still in the same spot, in Rikaku Uematsu's house, waiting for her without even trying to hide his frustration. She still hasn't come out? No. You're the one who said she seemed alright. What made you think that? I heard sounds. Why didn't you call out to her yourself instead of just waiting? As if I could do something so rude. Why is she the only one you're nice to? Masada was above Uematsu, wasn't it? That was an interesting bit of info. I didn't even realize that the head families had a hierarchy. It's only natural to be considerate of women. I'm a woman too, though. I don't see a reason to be considerate to someone so hostile toward me, do you? Please stop. We just finished putting a body to rest. That was probably one of the reasons why they were so agitated, but my comment was enough to shut them up. So yes, I'm worried too. She might not need help if she's so sick or injured. We may have no choice but to barge in. How improper. Was he the type of guy to report someone who underdressed a girl to give her proper first aid? What was up with this guy's priorities? Uematsu-san! Rikaku Uematsu-san! I bashed the door almost violently. I heard the sound of rustling clothes. Had she collapsed or something? Uematsu-san, I'm opening the door! No answer again, only sounds. Was it really Rikaku Uematsu in there? Let's break it down. Chami nodded while Kyonosuke gave a disgruntled sigh. The door was made from thin plywood and a wooden frame. A solid impact would break through. I looked around and saw a few aged farming tools lying against some houses. The old wooden hoe and mallet were too rotten to work here, but the axe looks just right. 1, 2... I lifted the axe and started counting, but had to stop midway. There was the sound of clattering. The door suddenly moved. Surprised, I jumped backwards and glanced at the other two. They were just as shocked, if not frightened. What's that? What do you mean? It has to be Rikaku-san. Uematsu-san! There was no response at first, but a few seconds later the door shook again. A moment later it fell silent once more. Had she collapsed in the door? If she wasn't well and lying next to the door, breaking it open was dangerous. I put the axe down and walked up the door again. The moment I approached it, I heard a clicking sound. I didn't even have time to question what had happened before it creaked open. There was a gap about 20 centimeters. It was pitch black inside. And there was a face all covered in blood. Oh, that's creepy. It sunk back into darkness the very next moment. It was soon replaced by an inhuman scream, and an arm that snaked out and grabbed my neck. The grip had inhuman strength behind it. I ignored Shimi and Kinosuke's screams and tried to pry myself free. My throat was on the verge of crushing. The groans continued ceaselessly. The nails dug into my neck and I was being dragged inside. Help! How the hell was she so strong? The arm clearly belonged to Rikaku Uematsu, so why? Help me! My words got them out of their stupor and they ran up to me. As panic and lack of oxygen dimmed my vision, they grabbed, bashed, and tugged at my arm that was holding on to me. Damn it! Hey, let go! Just one finger! I don't know how long it took, but I eventually freed. Jimmy simply slammed the door shut. Bring something I could use to bar the door. Like what? Just shove the axe in it. Sitting on the ground in shock, I simply stared at their exchange. I could still barely breathe. My vision was hazy and I couldn't think clearly. Something inside was trying to get the door open and possibly escape. What it was, though, I had no idea. What had happened to Rikaku Uematsu? How about this? Nosato-san, hold it shut. I'll bring the others and we'll barricade it. Haruki-san, are you alright? Can you stand? Yeah. Actions were more important than words here. Stealing my resolve, I rose to my feet. We gathered everyone who could still move and sealed off Rikaku Uematsu's doors and windows with planks, nails, large farming tools, and whatever else we could find. The small house was basically a pile of flimsy barricades now. Everyone was tired from all the work and sat down to rest. What's the point of doing this, though? Someone asked. We could still hear groans and crashing sounds from the inside. No one answered the question. We all understood that letting that thing out would be a mistake. What exactly was it anyway? A Yomibito. That seemed like an answer, of some sort anyway. What do you mean? Corrupted folk that come from Yomi, you know, don't you? Has to be a Yomibito, that. That's not what I mean. Yomibito are the wolves, right? They came back to life because of their grudge over being killed during the feast. Not always like that, Haru-chan. Yasumiso has always been menaced by Yomibito. Or maybe this is the corruption. Uematsu-sama might have broken an important law. It can't be. Protecting the laws is the role of the purifying spider family. But that might be it. She touched too much of the corruption. But that's... She might have come to Yasumisu to keep at least a bit of the Yomi's corruption away. How many Yomibito will we have now? Takumi was a good boy. Maybe it's a good thing he died before seeing how. Thus I offer homage to Shinai the Almighty, so peace may come to pass. Thus I offer homage to Shinai the Almighty, so peace may come to pass. A silent prayer. Her eyes were teary and her shoulders were shaking. Wait, then Rikako-san is... Yomibito must be hanged. That didn't sit right with me. The rule was that breaking the laws meant getting the corruption, and any of the corruption meant getting slaughtered, right? It was the first time I heard that it was possible to do something about the corruption, and that she died because of that. Logic had little ground here, so the people were gradually losing their minds. They were being pushed closer to death. It was like this was a supernatural phenomenon. Is anyone hungry? I've already calmed down, so we can do the rest after you've calmed down as well. It was a very attractive suggestion. As we all turned away and returned to the dining hall, I felt like Rikaku Uematsu let out a groan even more inhumanly loud than any of those before. Once we arrived, the place was dominated by heavy silence. There were sounds coming from the kitchen. A kitchen knife rhythmically hit the cutting board as Kaori-san prepared the food. Tae-san was seated away from everyone, desperately yet fluently chanting a sutra, combined with the kitchen sounds that had a mind-numbing effect. Everyone else was simply falling into a torpor, staring silently into space. Even I, the sanest person in the room, wanted to simply let my mind shut down and stop thinking. That wouldn't stop me from trying, though. Rather than trying to evaluate the details, I decided to return to square one and summarize the current situation. Takumi-san was dead. That left me, Chimi, the two Aribes, Kinosuke-shi, Tai Yamawakishi, Meiko, Rikaku Uematsu, and Haru Makishima. Total of 9. And Rikaku Uematsu. I didn't want to say she'd become a Yomibito or something, but it was clear she was in a condition that left her functionally useless. Normally the right thing to do would be to take her to a hospital, but instead they were going to discuss killing her, if I have to remind them of the sound course of action. Whatever the case, if you ignored Rikaku Uematsu and I, only 7 people are participating in the feast. With Takumi-san's death, we would never know what the snake found out about Haru Makishima. Therefore, the only confirmed people were Kyonosuke, a human, and Mako, a monkey. And personally, I thought I could trust Jimmy, so that made 3. Nope. I still don't trust Jimmy. Sorry. That left 4 others. This was bad. I wonder if Jimmy understood that. I had to talk to her in private. Where's Oni-chan? We'd kept Mako away from what had happened this morning, so she was still in the dark about Rikaku-san. She's not feeling too good. Leave her in peace. Okay. Hey, can I go outside? Isn't it dangerous? I'll look after her. She'll be safe if she stays close. The 2 left. Yasunaga. What? There's something I want you to fetch. I'm going to use the bathroom. More and more people left, but I didn't feel comfortable standing up until now. Tai-san just continued chanting, though. It was like she lived in another world. Besides her, all that was left was Haru-chan. The way she constantly shifted in her seat made it clear she felt uncomfortable. Sorry about Takumi-san. I tried talking to her. Yeah, Chiani always relied on him. What about Rikaku Uematsu-san? I didn't like her. She creeped me out. Chami-chan seemed fine with her, though. That's because she's strong. When did Uematsu-san arrive here? 2 or 3 years ago? Not recently, at least. It seemed like plenty of time to get to know a person, if you asked me. Or maybe not. Yasubisa's people have been suffering at the hands of the village heads for generations. Of course they couldn't just accept her. I hear she's one of the village heads, but what kind of family are the Uematsu anyway? What do you even want to know? How many times do I have to tell you that you're an outsider should just stay out of all of this? Oh, sorry. That was insensitive of me. Let's talk about something else then, alright? Fine. I looked around. As I saw Yasunaga-kun walk upstairs, I lowered my voice and asked, what was Mochi to you? Why are you asking? To make up for his lack of funeral. Huh? In funerals you talk about who passed away, right? I remember hearing that since that gives their souls peace. This is unexpected. What is? I thought you were cold and heartless. I didn't think I'd hear something about peace in the afterlife from you. That was just rude. Mochi was a Masato. He never acted like he was better than anyone. He was weird and as much of a troublemaker as Chiane, but he never hurt anyone. Everyone said he wasn't right in the head, but I didn't think so. He was really funny. I think he would have been really popular if he appeared on TV. He was 1 year older than me, but he treated me like someone his own age. I always had tons of fun with him. He got along really well with Nichan, too. He did? Yeah, they were always together, and they were like a pair of heroes in school. They got along so well that I sometimes felt lonely with them. Her visage dimmed. I felt like she was easier to understand than most. If Mochi had really liked her, it must have been a tough love. She hadn't even looked at him in that regard, and being with Yasunaga-kun even made her a target of her jealousy. But he's gone now. Yasunaga-kun must feel terrible. Yeah, why don't help him out? Yasunaga-kun was going up the stairs again. I gestured at him with my chin. It's a chin gesture. Just try that. Just poke your chin at something. Huh? He's doing something for his mom, and Chami-chan's outside. I don't think he can replace Mochi, and Chami-chan's probably the best person for the job. But even if they are the ones who make the final decision, there's no reason to hold yourself back in the meantime, right? You want to help him, don't you? Yeah. You too? Well, Jimmy gave me way more than just a meal and a place to stay. I won't say I don't have any ulterior motives. More than that, I just want to support her. She seems to be suffering at the hands of things I can't even comprehend. Yeah, I think I misunderstood you. I can't blame you. Are you going? Yeah, I still need to apologize for yesterday. Then I'll go outside too. We stood up at the same time. Though Haru-chan was always on edge. She was a really honest girl. I worried that she'd fall victim to some scumbag like me down the road. Oh. What? Maybe you should really run a... Never mind. Forget I said anything. She cut herself short and hurried upstairs. Apparently I'd gained some of her trust, but it didn't look like I could get anything more useful than that bit of advice. Unlike the other inhabitants, she just believed that escape was possible. That's why she'd tried to do it yesterday. That might have been the extent of it. So, who do you suspect? Haru-chan and Yasunaga-kun. I walked up to Jimmy, who was looking after Mako, and we started a conversation. I can understand Haru-chan, but Yasunaga-kun? We have 4 suspects. Tai-san, Kaori-san, and them. He was the only one of those who was outside when Mochi died yesterday. And considering how cunning the wolves are, I can't imagine it being anyone but him. He's that devious? Yeah. Really? Why did Takumi-san die today? Huh? What do you mean? He was obviously killed by the wolves. That's not what I'm asking. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, I think I get it. Because the spider didn't protect him. Right. The spider's probably dead. Huh, wait? When you think about it, on the first day, Takumi-san was protected by the spider. And yesterday, no one actually said that the spider should protect someone else, right? Yeah. That means that the spider once again protected Takumi-san. He's way too valuable. At least that's what should have happened. If the spider was still alive. Yes, my theory is being confirmed! Well, that's true. Since the feast started, the ones who died before Takumi-san were Kanzo-san, Yoshitsugu-kun, Mochi, and the old man who cried wolf. One of those 4 was the spider. The wolves realized this, killed him, and then went for Takumi-san. That's the only logical explanation. Huh? Aren't you overthinking it? What if they just assumed the spider was gone because 4 people died? That's the optimistic take, but if we're dealing with someone clever, underestimating them would be a fatal mistake. But how'd they find out who the spider is? You're too loud. It's nothing, Mako-chan. She resumed scribbling on the ground. She was completely absorbed in it for some reason. I think it's likely that the wolves guessed who was the spider. But how? You told me on the first day Kanzo-san let Yasunaga-kun talk for most of the feast, and only made the final decision, right? He looked like a more proactive type to me. I doubt he'd agree to not hang anyone on the first day. Well, that's true, but what about it? If he'd spoken up and taken the initiative, he could have easily controlled the situation, and most of his decisions would have been good calls. That was why he was such a good target for the wolves. That's what we thought, right? That's true, but we also thought the same about Yasuko. On the other hand, if you're a wolf, you have no choice of becoming a target for the wolves. It's more dangerous for them to not say anything important and look suspicious. Giving away harmless info, for one, is better. That's the clever thing to do, don't you think? But how's that related to Kanzo Ji-chan keeping his silence? Well, this is all just speculation, but I think he kept quiet to avoid calling attention to himself so the wolves wouldn't target him. Why would he do that? Because he felt that his survival was intrinsically linked to that of the others. Because he had a guardian? Yeah, and it was probably the spider. Why are you so confident? The spider is the most vulnerable participant in the feast. After all, the one person the spider can't protect is themselves. But as long as his identity was hidden, he had the possibility of making the wolves waste a night. That was probably why he tried not to stand out, but it worked against him and attracted the wolves' attention. He, of all people, was quiet. He must have an amazing guardian and all that. That led to the wolves taking him out on the first day, and then taking out Takumi-san, now defenseless, on the second. I know that's just speculation, but I kind of feel like you're right. If even that was planned by the enemies, it's best to assume that the anomalies, too, have been shortcuts for the wolves. What do you mean? Too many people died outside the rules. Yoshitsugu-kun, Mochi, the old wolf guy, and Rikako Uematsu. She's effectively dead now. To the wolves, unplanned deaths are a good thing. The less feasts they have to survive, the lower chance that they'll be hanged. Then what if they plan for those people to die? I see your point, but how could they pull it off? They could tell Yoshitsugu-kun to walk around outside at night, basically sending him to the corruption. I don't know the motive behind Mochi and the wolf guy's deaths, but it all makes sense if they were killed by Rikako Uematsu. What? Tai-san talked about the Uematsu's role and thought she fell to the corruption because of it, but there's a more reasonable explanation. If she'd killed the two, she'd have broken the feast's rule of 1 person per day and became a target of the corruption. I put aside the idea that there were apparently 2 types of corruption, slaughter and madness. But how? Did you see the clothes she wore? She wouldn't have had the time to change, and there's no way she would have won against 2 men, right? And how about this? Mochir, the wolf guy, killed the other, and the one who survived was killed by her. She became the target of the corruption for drawing the blood of a second person in one day. I don't know about the clothes, but it could be solved by a large apron or something. I can't say it's impossible until we verify it. But even a single guy sounds like too much for her. One of them's senile, though. Or maybe they're weakened from trying to kill each other. Kill? What? How could you think something like that? Again, it's all just speculation. I don't even know the motive, but it does make sense. But how is that related to the wolves' conspiracy? I don't know the motive here, either. But if they knew her weakness or something, they could have goaded her into killing them. Or maybe she was a wolf herself. Jimmy was at a loss for words. I had no choice but to continue myself. She could have hesitated the whole process, hastened the whole process to give the other wolf an advantage. I really doubt that. Getting themselves killed would be really bad for the wolves. True. Considering the number of wolves and humans, losing one wolf to take out 2 humans isn't a good deal. But there was no guarantee that everyone would realize that. Not everyone acts logically. There's lots of illogical stuff going on, and predicting their effects is impossible. No, I don't want to hear that. But you can't give up, can you? I don't want to think anymore. Sorry, I said too much. Don't worry, I'm the one who should be sorry. But yeah, this is a bit hard for me. I really don't want you to think you people need to be playing along with this. I'll help you escape if you want. We can't. I just know that if you're born here, you're fated to die here. That's just a baseless delusion. Someone who can't see God would never understand. Yeah, I won't. How troubling. It really was troubling. If this was some tabletop fun for the whole family game, I'd have already punched the GM and left. That is, of course, a reference to the fact that Werewolf does have like a game master who tells the werewolves when to wake up and stuff. But lives were actually on the line here, not just my own, but also that of someone I liked. We'd made it this far, yet she was uncooperative. Maybe I was going about this wrong. Maybe if I wanted to save her life, I'd start by saving her from the darkness within. Or maybe from the unidentified supernatural phenomenon that was binding her. Though that didn't seem like something that could be done in just 3 or 4 days. Still, I'd struggle until the very end. I couldn't participate in the feast myself, so I had no choice but to leave it to Chiemi. I didn't say anything more to her. I just chose to believe she'd overcome her inner conflict soon. Meanwhile, Mako's drawing had grown so large, it felt like she would get lost in the mist. Hey! I left Chiemi and went to Mako. Bah! She waved at me. Good thing she was kind of used to me now. What are you drawing? Those are guardians. Guardians? One drawing showed a warped circle, the lines just strange going through it. But I could see what it was. It looked much like the Higuchi family crest I saw in the dining hall. There were 4 of them, apparently. The others were hard to differentiate. Oh, that whirling drawing was the same as the one on the stone, the symbol of the Yomotsu Uekami. I see. Shinnae-sama's guardians. Did Oni-chan teach them to you? Yeah! But what about these? They're not guardians, are they? They're cattle! I certainly wasn't expecting to hear such a vivid word from a girl about 4 years old. Animals, huh? Yeah, this is a cow. This is a donkey. Oh, this is a pig. Ah. The ground wasn't the best canvas, and the little girl wasn't the best artist. All I could really tell was that they all had 4 legs. And this is me! It had 4 legs, though. Well, whatever. And this? It's bigger than the others. A wolf. A light chill went down my spine. Huh? Why a wolf? Because the wolf is coming. Huh? The wolf is coming. That's what the old man was. That was like, because the wolf is coming, I had to run far, far away. Hold on, Mako-chan. You know the wolf? I haven't met him, but I know he's scary. Is this the same wolf as we have here? Bah? Where's the snake and monkey? I don't know. What does the wolf do? Eat the cattle. Eat? Yeah, they said the horse was eaten. Apparently this had nothing to do with Fujiyoshi's legend. I had no idea if this was from a picture book or her imagination, but there were barely any links between the stories. Or maybe I was rushing to conclusions. Who told you this story? It really happened. Where then? Far away. Far away, huh? I've been walking for so long. Well, it didn't look like I could get any details from her. If far away referred to the land of myth, it actually had truths regarding Fujiyoshi's legend that weren't told here. What the hell was I thinking? Land of myth? How stupid. I should just calm down and file under more info that made no sense to me. I see, it must have been hard. I'm hungry. Same here, let's go back. Okay. As we turned around, I saw Chami stand up to the mist and again hesitantly beckon us. Looks like the food's ready. Kinosuke was standing at the entrance of the dining hall wearing a gloomy expression. He was never particularly vigorous, but now his visage was haggard and he wasn't nearly as arrogant as before. I couldn't blame him. The only person he was friendly, flirtatious to, Rikaku Uematsu, was in an awful state. Also, despite all he'd said, he actually relied on Takumi-san. They seemed to be close in terms of age, too. And from what I've heard, he never really said anything wrong. The only problem was his insensitive choice of words. The feast was a communication game. Even if you were right about something, it didn't matter much if you couldn't convince anyone. Thank you very much. Still, he was one of the mere 2 confirmed humans. Treating him badly and making him upset wouldn't help at all. I had to be courteous. Let's go. Yeah. Hungry, aren't we, Mako-chan? Chami had calmed down a bit. I already told her my suspicions. I now had to hope she handled the feast well. All that was left now was to get some nutrients to support my hard-working brain. Right? Alright, I think that's a good point to call it for the evening. So I will go ahead and save. And yeah, that's good. We will pick this up again next week. See you guys.